Happy Friday, everybody. It's a rough one for your boy, Joseph Sunderman. I'll tell you that. Relationships are hard. I really hope a few years down the road, I'm looking back at this time going, ask myself, am I proud about how I handled the situation? Did I do my best to be supportive, loving, and not blinded by my anger and hatred towards things? I was very angry for a long time. A lot of people are. The world's not fair. You're brought in and you're told to believe you can be anything you want to be. Um, but then all these obstacles and hurdles and, you know, privileged people around you, and you're wondering why all this hope, even though all this despair, and like it's very confusing coming into a world. And really, if you're being raised and told that you can do anything you want, that in and of itself is a privilege to have a life where you can be told that. You know, now there's a lot to this crazy experience we're living. And for me personally, I just want to help people. And you come off super arrogant if you try to run people through things and try to get them there quickly. And if you think you are where you want to be, just wait a second. You'll find out that you're not quite there yet. Yeah, I have no idea what I'm talking about. All I know is life throws a lot at us, and in trying to be a decent person, yeah, I don't know what to do. They say if you truly love something, let it go. If it was meant to be, it'll come back. I am doing that to the best of my ability, but yeah, it's hard. Anyway, hope everybody's having a fantastic Friday. I am getting to work on some shit that I need to get done. I've been putting off for a few days. I've gotten a lot done this week, but now I gotta get some actual shit done. I know. Ooh, and I'm about to order my new phone. I told myself you got a family, don't be going out and buying shit, but at the same time, feeling like you're being shit on constantly. Do whatever the fuck you want, Joe. Nobody fucking cares. No, you care, Joe. Don't do whatever the fuck you want to do. Be smart. So we'll have somebody else buy my phone from all that amazing things I do for them. All right. Submitted a ticket. Let's get this bad boy up. Okay. So, how is everybody doing today? I got a lot of work to get done. A lot of tech plans to build. Exciting shit. Yeah. This is Joseph.
Hi.
Hey.
So I'm an administrator, and Sam is checked off for, and I'm assuming this is what it is, can process scan files.
I
The description is
I
user can import scans from uploaded scan files and process the results.
I have no I don't have any experience or management with eManage. That's always been Scott. I am reaching out to their support portal today, waiting on them to get back to me to get these two machines deployed, one for Ben and one for Scott. If you want,
Yeah, Scott said that it's not an e-managed thing. So I'm just trying to figure out who put it on our, I don't know who did it. Like why we have it. You know what I'm saying?
I don't even know what you're talking about. So, you want me to come look and see what you're
And
talking
it's
about?
just, well, it's what you were talking to Ben about.
Well, the service
Just
desk reached
before
out to
I reached
me.
out.
Yeah, so the service desk
Did
reached out to.
IT reach out?
Go ahead.
Did IT reach out to you, or were you the one that answered the email that I just sent?
No, service desk notifies the account manager when they get a
Oh,
request in.
okay,
So I got a
okay.
notification that somebody from here, not sure who, reported
It
in
was me.
saying that they needed access to this. So I
Yeah.
told the service desk, we don't manage e-manage. Consider the matter closed on their end, so they don't have to do anything else. So CCPCS is like, okay, next thing. I go over to
Yeah.
talk to Scott, but
Okay.
he's on the phone because he's usually the go-to for things like this. So I thought Adam and Ben told me that he's an admin the other day, so I thought I'd ask him real quick. Hey,
Yeah.
can you do this thing they're asking about? We don't have access, we don't know what they're talking about. So
Gotcha.
right now, I'm saying is I'm working with an e-manage issue already. If you'd
Yeah.
like, I can get
I.
them involved with this since I'm already going to have
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. I don't think it's. I don't think it's on them. I just asked Scott. He's just like it's not an e-manage thing. So I'm just trying to figure out how, um, how we how we do this. like like I don't know if we copy and paste from my computer to put it on Sam or Ben's. You know what I mean? I'm just not sure how that works.
That would I don't know how Scott thinks it's not an e-manage thing because to me it would definitely be an e-manage thing. I'd like to
Yeah.
understand that more.
Okay.
All right,
All right. Thanks.
thanks.
See ya.
Yep.
Hi, this is Scott. I'm not available. Please leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
But we have a life. We have work to do. Check out this little guy. This little XPS here. This little guy is pretty thin, right? But see how thin is this guy? I mean, it's this guy. This is the M4 iPad Pro. This is a thin little guy. Oh yeah, twice the height, easily. For as thin as that is, that's pretty crazy. Anyway, come back here. Oh my god. Password has expired. Password doesn't expire on these accounts. Enough to just fucking say fuck it all, be done with it. Anyway, you sick bastards. What do you think you're doing, you sick bastards? That's better. All right. Put on some music. Yeah, baby. Jesus Christ. And we're in. Jesus Christ, that took what, 30 minutes to break into this motherfucker? Mm-mm-mm-mm. What the fuck? Is that because you're dead? Are you dead? I'll charge you. I got big old cable. I'll charge you right up. Well, that's, what can you do? What can you do? Well, I know this isn't dead, is it? Oh, this is my old iPad. Of course it's dead. You charge that bitch. Fuck. I was comparing that XPS to this iPad, and this is not even the new M4. This is the M1 iPad. Damn. Let that sit down there and charge for a bit. And I love these Peak design cases right here. These things are awesome. It's got this little loop right here, which I rarely use this, but when it does come in, it comes in pretty clutch. I love it. Uh, this case is great, but I've already replaced it once because this side over here, and it's doing it now. If you can see, this side's even worse. Ooh. Moving against this whiteboard so you can see that the whole sides. Now this side's starting to come off. So like, I mean, it still takes form to the phone. If I drop it, it still protects it. It's still kind of doing its job, but I got a crack in my screen all the way down here, and I got to call them and replace because I got this case because the last one had the same issue. Love the case, but for some reason the adhesive, they need to make this one piece. I'm sure it's hard. Can you CNC rubber slash plastic? I don't know. I'm not a materials engineer. And this damn reflex I keep having, this like hiccup slash, it's not really a gag, it's lower. Something keeps happening. Maybe I have cancer or AIDS or something. I don't know. I'm sure the world would be much more at peace if I would just go ahead and go. What's wrong with Friday? What? Nothing's wrong with Friday. Fridays are my days. I love Fridays. Why are you taking so long to reboot? Where is this? Is all email from support. View ticket, huh? 254-877. My God, my back. I have about another 10 pounds to lose, and I'll be right where I want to be. I've already lost 10. 10 more to go. And I'll be down to my 245. And I'll get there in the next couple of weeks, as long as I stay disciplined. But I don't know, got some good grubbing coming soon, and then Halloween's coming. Apparently, we're not going to be doing Halloween together, which is fine. But that's not going to stop me and Bubba from having a good fall. And yeah, I work a lot, so who knows? Maybe somebody will want to hang out and do Halloween with me. This is Joseph. Hello.
Hello, my name is Tracy with the Tri-Health Customer Service Team. This is a
Robots. Let's take 20 minutes before you start talking to who you called. Come on, e-manage. Oh, 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 well, don't be going out in public with that, yo. I do need to go to the bank. Yeah, baby.
bonus, daughter. Family isn't always blood. It's what has brought us together. I may not have given you the gift of life, but I'm thankful life has given me the gift of you. Always remember that, at heart, we are family forever. And no matter what happens, I will always be here for you, and I will always love you. I can't promise I'll be here for the rest of your life, but I can promise that I'll love you for the rest of mine.
Yep, 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 yep.
Recording in progress.
You got me like, I can't shake it. Living in the space like,
Hello, Netherlands. How we doing? Pakistan. Bend, Oregon. You know what? I need a mailbox in Oregon so I can buy stuff tax-free. My goodness. India. Hello, hello. Minnesota. Brownsville, Texas. All people coming in from California. California. Somerset, UK. If I said that right. My gosh, it's going by quick, everybody. I'm just here for the vibes. We have 158 people and counting. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Thanks for making us part of your day, everybody. If you can just see the screen, it says welcome. If you can hear my voice, good. We're good. Team, we're good on mic and everything. We get started in 30 seconds. Puerto Rico, hello. Okay. Music is over. That means I must start talking. Okay. All right, everybody. Gary, Andres, we're ready to go. Thumbs up. We're good? Okay. And be on the lookout for Neil Dingra if he should pop in. Promote him to panelist because he said he was going to be here, but he's also opening a keynote right now. So we'll see what happens. And if you're here, I just want to welcome you once again. We're going to talk about Content Lab today, and I want to share with you some of the thoughts that I have. Most of you, I think, have come in through an email, a LinkedIn post, or something on Instagram, a story, and hopefully I've piqued your curiosity. And we all know what's happening out there right now. There's just so much content that's being produced, and it's not slowing down at any rate, mostly because we've been told by so many different quote-unquote experts that you just need to do more. 1x isn't good enough, 10x isn't good enough. You got to do 100x if you want to even be serious about this game. And what's happened is there's no way we can do that. So what we do is we either use AI to help us write content that's not in our voice, because it's the easiest path to take. We also hire people to help us do the work, which I think is necessary and good, but it doesn't do something. And I'm going to talk about that today. And if you're not aware, we're going to be talking a lot about Content Lab, but this is not just to sell you on all the Content Lab. Let me just talk about a couple of things first, set the stage. There's a dirty little secret in this world, and I'm going to start with this. I don't think I'm telling you anything new. I think you may have felt this before, but there's this thing, and it's called the perfect webinar. It is an idea orchestrated by a gentleman by the name of Russell Brunson. He wrote a couple different books called .com Secrets and Expert Secrets, and pretty much all the OG coaches and salespeople use some form of this perfect webinar. And I'm sharing it with you because I want to be super transparent, just my style, right? So there's usually, it's broken into intro. Somebody makes a bold promise, and the promise is like some kind of insight or some unspoken truth. I'll tell you why you want to stick to the very end, because it's so important. There's some amazing value. It's better than an FT, but not as this, whatever it is. And we want to make sure that I'm grabbing your attention, and then and then I want to qualify myself.
Check.
And then future page, talk to you about like you in the future. So then there's these 3 big secrets, right? And so I'm being super transparent. And there's a reason
Super
why
transparent.
webinars work. And number one, and there's a bunch of reasons, but number one is it have this proven psychological sequence, and it moves people through a buying sequence of you become aware of something, a problem. There's teasing of solutions, so your interest is now coming up, and then you desire what other people have gotten through a lot of testimonials and things like that. And then it moves you to a state of action and very logical flow. So that's the psychological sequence. And during the webinar, you're supposed to address these 3 core objections: the vehicle, the internal and the external. Vehicles like the method, the internal is your ability to be able to do this. That's why they always use easy, doesn't require a lot of investment, and that makes it feel like you can accomplish these things and it won't take a lot of time. So that's the kind of things that it usually addresses. You can do this, and it frames it through the quote unquote 3 secrets, which are things you already believe, and we're going to challenge those beliefs in the form of pattern interrupts. breaking the limiting beliefs, and then immediately rebuilding them into new ones. So you're like, okay, I'm with you, Chris. I'm bought in on this idea. And then, of course, right when people are really interested, you need to share stories and testimonials right after teaching so that you can build the credibility. And number 5 is because you've given some form of value or some perceived value, more importantly, it activates this thing in our social construct that Dr. Robert Cialdini writes about in the book Influence, the Power of Persuasion. It activates reciprocity because we don't like getting something without giving something back.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a recent brilliant book launch by Alex Ramosi where there was a call to action that almost got me. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, it almost got me. And that's where he said something like, if you've ever received value from any one of my free podcasts, my YouTube videos, my Instagram posts, me speaking on stage, then buy the book. If not, don't buy it. I was like, oh shoot, that's what I believe. So he's activating something that's internal in me and speaking out loud. So I was almost in, okay? But it doesn't stop there. These are the parts that you may or may not be aware of. These are 5 other things that are being done in the perfect webinar. They create scarcity and urgency. There's a limited time. I only have so many kits. This offer expires in 10 minutes at the end of this webinar. If you don't buy, then you won't save this. And I'm going to do a surprise fast action bonus kind of thing. And the other thing that they do is called value stacking. Value stacking, which I'll talk a little bit more later. Authority building. Why I'm the most qualified person to teach you this thing because I've done X, Y, and Z. So we want to build authority. We can also do that by sharing case studies and testimonials and stories about how other people benefited from our teaching, our coaching program, right? You guys get this? You've seen this before, and once you know what the structure is like, you cannot unsee it. And sometimes it kind of makes you feel a little funny if you're anything like me. Of course, there's some emotional storytelling, and then you got to agitate the problem because people do not buy when they don't feel the urgency behind the problem. You want people not just to be hungry, but starving for a solution. And the way you do that is you just agitate the problem. Okay. And I mentioned something about value stacking. If you're not familiar with this term, this is where they use a psychological anchor called price anchoring. So they'll talk about something like what's really expensive that they do. And then they're going to add in all these components and they're going to share with you some arbitrary value that's added to each one of these things. And when it's all added up, it sounds like a lot of money. It'll be like $10,744. And if you buy today, this whole entire program will be $299, something like that. And so being a sucker for a deal, being a first generation immigrant myself, I'm like, yeah, I'm in. What kind of terrific savings? I need to act right now. So value stacking. And these webinars are efficient, they're effective, and they're authentic. No, they're not. They're not authentic at all because everybody uses the exact same template. And if you feel like you have to take a cold shower afterwards, just wash yourself from this scummy feeling, is because it doesn't feel genuine. Because if we're talking about that, and I've been thinking about this myself, how am I out there on the streets talking about finding your voice, standing out, being different, authentic, if I'm going to use the exact same cookie cutter formula that everyone else uses, especially because I don't even like those things. So now I have a dilemma. Do I want to sell or do I want to unsell? So I'm going to call this the imperfect webinar. My friend Jody Cook was like, Chris, you should just do the anti-webinar and you should be all meta about it. Tell people exactly what you're doing while you're doing it. And maybe this will be the new standard, radical transparency. And if that works, then maybe we can set the new standard. I don't know. We'll see what happens here. So in case you don't know me, everybody, hi, hello, my name is Chris Dell. I'm a loud introvert. I'm a recovering graphic designer. I'm a serial dreamer. I'm a first generation immigrant. I'm a non-people pleasing middle child. I'm above average student, but a first class troublemaker. And I'm about to do something that every marketing guru would tell me not to do. They're probably cringing right now. If they were watching this, like, no, I just don't do this, Chris. Do not do this. I'm going to run buck wild a little bit here and do my imperfect webinar. So for me, it's just an honest conversation about a problem I see everywhere and a solution that's working for the people I'm helping right now in small and big ways, okay? So no manufactured scarcity. I'm not going to tell you there's any scarcity. There isn't. I mean, sort of there is, but not really. I'm not doing any value stacking on you, and there's no manipulative urgency. And this is an entire experiment, okay? In fact, the very structure of this call is going to prove, hopefully, my main point, that different is better than better. That's a quote from Sally Hogshead. If you're to quote this, if you use this, please credit her. She's an amazing human being and author, got big ideas, and it's one of my favorite quotes. Different is better than better. The world is focused on doing more and better, but what you really need to do is just focus on being different. So while everyone else is following the same webinar template, I'm going to show you a different way. Just like while everyone else is following the same content template, I want to show you a different approach to building your authority. Okay? So I do have a program. I'm not, just in the streets here, just for fun, just for sport, right? And I'll tell you about it at the end. It's not because I have to do it. It's because inevitably someone will ask, how do we buy from you? How do we work with you, Chris? This excites me. I'm intrigued. So I'll be completely transparent about what it is, what it costs, and who it's for. No games, no BS, no bull shebeck, okay? And number one is that this idea, that there's a problem, and it's referred to as the authority authenticity gap. And I've been watching successful coaches, consultants, domain experts do the same thing over and over again. I think I just came to this realization recently while hanging out with a bunch of them, this mistake. What they're all doing is they are seeing people way ahead of them build media teams. In fact, there are people who consult and charge you lots of money to build you media teams. And we see people like Hormozy spending $100,000 a month. Simon Squibb traveling with a team of 6 or 7 people everywhere he goes. We're seeing this done at scale. So I'm like, gosh. And then Stephen Bartlett, got a big old team. Everybody's got a big old team. What they're doing is they're hiring young, talented, sometimes self-taught media teams. Writers, producers, editors, designers, those kinds of people. And what they're doing is they're using those people or paying them money to help them pump out a lot of content. And because that's what we're being told, like 1x, 10x, just keep going. They become like these content factories and thinking that volume equals authority. Now, if you've been paying careful attention to me, I'm not a big believer in quality either, because quality sometimes is an excuse not to do anything. It's that perfectionism thing. So I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is whether you do 1 post or 1,000 posts, it should come from your truth, your lived experiences. So this, unfortunately, eliminates a lot of people because there are people who have only a couple of years of experience out there, and the thing they got really good at is selling you the thing that someone else sold them. So it becomes a giant pyramid scheme. Have you guys felt that? I mean, just comment in the chat. Have you seen that? Let me know what your thoughts are on that, okay? So, it's the sea of lame. That's what I'm seeing. So the results are there's a lot of really polished content. It sounds like everyone else. It's super generic. And what it does for you is it gives you a temporary high. That that social media growth. You got new followers, you got better engagement, you got more likes, a couple more comments. But what it doesn't do is does not translate to long-term value for you, the creator. And it's because you haven't done any self-development work. You haven't figured out how to communicate differently or better. You haven't figured out how to build assets become indelibly linked to your brand. Who was I hanging out with? I can't remember who I was hanging out with recently in New York. But they were just saying to me, Chris, if you took off your glasses and put it on a table with you not even around, if somebody knew you, they would look at it like, I think that's Chris's glasses. Those are assets. And I was at the airport. Somebody was sitting behind me and we're waiting because I was at the airport really early in Newark, New Jersey. And after I finished my call, he says, hey, you're Chris. I'm like, yes. He goes, I just recognize you from your voice. My back turned to him. So your voice becomes part of the assets, the brand assets that you have. So working on your voice, developing it, harnessing, or Vin Zhang would say, playing your instrument is an important part to building a strong, unique, memorable, personal brand. So here's the thing. They use all these people, which is fine, but they haven't created a voice for themselves, which is crazy to me. Okay. And this bothers me a little bit, or maybe it bothers me a lot. And I'm trying not to go on a rant here, everybody, because some of you may or may not know, before I made any content on social media, I taught at several private art schools actually, for 15 plus years. And I know the difference between dumping information, which I've been guilty of myself, and real transformation. And you already know this, your audience doesn't need more content because we're living in a time where we're information rich and time poor. And it's no more apparent than today because of the proliferation of AI content. Someone told me a shocking percentage. I think it was like 25% of the content on Instagram is AI generated. Now, I'm not sure where they get these stats from, how they would even know, but maybe AI assisted, whether the script is written in AI, the voice is AI, which there's lots of that, that really recognizable voice, the 2 or 3 voices you hear, or we're seeing really beautiful B-roll in AI. In fact, the reel that I put out on Instagram to get some of you to come here, I shot in New York City in Central Park, but I used AI to do all the animations, captions, and everything else. And it's kind of amazing. So I'm not anti-AI, but it's got to come from some place in terms of the body of the content, the pillar, your truth, your ideas, your philosophy. Okay? So what we don't need is more AI that's based on generic content. What the world needs right now is your perspective, your unique frameworks tailored for your style, your way of solving problems. So when you outsource all of this, you're not really, when you outsource all of this, you're producing, but you're not progressing. And I don't know about you. I mean, I'm 53, everybody. I think life would not have the richness it has if I didn't feel like I was working on myself and growing. Not in my waistline, but growing in my wisdom, growing in my knowledge, and growing in my relationships. Those are really important things. So I had this observation because I also, besides teaching at an art school, went through a very rigorous program at Art Center. It's a very prestigious school in the United States for the visual arts. And there's a funny thing. What we all know is artists don't read. I mean, they do, but not the way you think. Artists don't read about other artists making art to become better artists. You guys get that? What they do is they make. When you get your hands dirty, when you try, when you put yourself out there, yeah, sure, sometimes it's stupid. Sometimes it doesn't work. And you fail. But in the failure, you learn what not to do as much as what to do. And you discover all the ways it doesn't work. I think Thomas Edison famously said something like, I haven't failed. I just discovered 1,000 ways that don't work in terms of the invention of light bulb. I hope that's Edison. So a friend of mine said on stage, failure is the tuition you pay for future success. So if we're going to sanitize and sterilize all of our content because we're afraid of saying something, and then we use AI to clean it up, and then we use media teams to polish it up, what are we really doing? The other thing that I realized at art school, the reason why they're not very lecture-based is because artists learn by doing. And when they make something and they work with an instructor, hopefully somebody like me, who understands how to ask them the right question, the Socratic question, so they can unlock what to do on their own. So it's a transference of knowledge and wisdom from the teacher to the student through the act of doing. And I think that's the key difference between what I'm proposing, my program, that I'll share with you later today. It's that you need feedback. You need nuanced feedback from someone who understands this stuff, not from someone who's read growth hacks or watched another influencer talk about do this, don't do that. We've seen those things. And it bothers me just a little bit.
All right.
But you might be sitting there thinking, but Chris, I'm not an artist. Why are you talking about artists? Well, this is where I have a slightly different point of view. I remember at,
I'll be back.
panel discussion with the directors of Atlas and somebody asked me to consider what you
Are you in a meeting?
Yep.
I gotta run to a 1 o'clock. I gotta leave here shortly. I'll probably be back around 3. What time are you leaving today? Yeah, I'm gonna come in on Monday and I'll spend the whole morning. I still wait on him to approve everything. So, and I gotta get the form done yet. Yeah, I'm crushed too. I'm glad to hear that's. I'm not happy with where we are, but I'm glad to hear that it's not on me right now. Okay. You have one done though. Do you have that written down at all? What's needed? If you can give me that iPad and what's still needed, like at least I can get.
I need it because I need to know what
I got you. Well, that's why I need it, so I can make sure if you get hit by a bus, we know what you did. So, um, yeah, let's touch base Monday and see where
I
we're
did. Here
at
it is. Hey, where's that? Contacts aren't showing up.
in Messenger.
I have to change the name of the iPad, which you told me that is a WC4000.
Correct. We're doing 4,000.
2001.
That
Right?
that
So we're not doing 4000.
we're just starting, so fours are new.
But we're
So
not starting at 4000. We're starting at 4001.
I like to, yeah. We can make 4,000 the floater if you want. Make that the like floater one. When we get new ones, like we don't reuse names. Like right now we're on WC-27 since I've been here. That means 27 laptops have been, well, maybe a desktop or two, but
That's fine. That's fine. I'll start at 4001. He's got the floater, so. And it's the floater's not even set up.
yeah, we'll ideally once we get
Floater
all
was
these
like
were
phase 2.
well, once everything's done with all of this, the floater is going to be it's going to be our guinea pig slash, yeah, it's going to be our base model.
Find mine.
And I know we,
Signed in. That was the other thing. But what I didn't know is something on the back end that I have to sign into it.
second shift.
There's no way for me to sign
but we need to be able to track the location of them, which we should be
it.
able
So if we
to.
do all that initial invisible,
Which leads me into the next piece, which is we're also going to need a separate group for access and ability on the tablets for up here, right?
yes, we can, yeah.
Correct. So,
So those are the 4 things.
Yeah.
I can send those to you, but I was planning on literally taking.
that's
Took
fine.
me an hour to do it.
Then I'm just going to wait till Monday to get with you, and then we'll pick up from there.
But I need to get it out. Because I'm not here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
I didn't have a chance to talk to Scott about matters like I think I talked to you about, but what I did get to talk to him about is the SOP&P and how I'm having us do the iPads and stuff. And Joe was in the room because when it's just Scott and I, there's a lot of like, that's not going to work. Nobody's going to do that. But when like Jerry or Joe or somebody's in the room, they're like, well, that's what we should be doing. That sounds great. So like, it was really good that he was in there, and so I got to double check with him. I think he said I could give you access to the admin environment. So if we can, we might do that after we get the iPads done. But I want to get you in there so you can help start knocking out these projects and having good documentation. And I want to use our forms to collect it. I want us to get in the habit. That's the new norm of how we do things. That's what I'm trying to make that happen. All right, I'll be.
Make sure that we're on the same page. Monday we're getting you that.
Monday we should have the form ready to go. I will not have my documentation completed with what you're doing, but if we got to get them out, we can get them out. I can
We can do
wrap it
that
up.
behind it?
Yeah, because there's going to be changes anyway going on. We're going to once we start handing them to them, we're going to things that we haven't thought of. We're like, oh shit, that. Oh yeah, we got to figure it out. So
Let me check the schedule Monday. Let me just make sure that there's anything that we're missing. Marks off. It's just part.
okay, I'll be in Monday morning. Scott? Let's go, Joe. Are you here? Can you stop by the training room when you get a second? Thanks.
What do you do? Because your actions speak more loudly than words. And some people, whatever genetic pool they came from, are able to show up differently. Like when you put on a suit or a dress or a smart pair of glasses, or you do your hair differently, that's an aesthetic choice. And not lastly, then there's your philosophy, your beliefs, and how you write and how you communicate. And then the last one is your mannerisms. Basically, I like your mannerisms the most. There's a little bit of quirks. There's a comedian, his name is Sebastian, and he over enunciates every word. He's Italian, and he talks about this. And he's very expressive. He's known as a physical comedian. I don't really like that. Or there's like a comedian, Chris Rock, who repeats words over and over. You kind of develop a very specific style. Those are your mannerisms, okay? So in this world, if you want to stand out, and you got to start to unplan yourself. And so there are 6-ish things that you can do, 6-ish things, right? There's a lot more actually, but I don't want to overwhelm you. Number 1 is voice. So how you sound to others, and I've defined my voice, and there's a reason why you need to do this, so that you understand how to consistently show up so people recognize you. Because if you're using different voices every time you write, or a different voice every time you write, people are going to feel like they can't wrap their head around you. They can't predict how you're going to talk. And I love it when people are like, I can hear your voice in my head, Chris. Or I would ask myself, what would Chris do? And then I would do that thing. So my voice is hard truth, gently told. And I think that captures most of how I speak. I can't help myself, but I have to tell you the truth. And sometimes the truth hurts. But I never do it with ill intention, never to hurt you, not to belittle you, not to ridicule you, or to shame you, especially in public. So there's some compassion in there. Maybe not a lot, but some compassion. Here's another example from Greg Logan for a travel company. We pack lightly. You get this sense of the voice of this company. So every time they write big blocks of copy, they're being a little precious. No. We pack lightly, guys. And recently I was sharing this, and I thought it was a great frame for how to write from Yasmin Alich. He writes every post with "Dear son, love dad," and then he deletes the "Dear son, love dad," and you can understand that now. Why his tone is very warm, friendly, supportive, and guiding. Right? That's not my voice for sure. I'm not writing "Dear son, love dad." I'm like, hey, no, I won't say. I was gonna get myself in trouble here. Okay. Number 2 is your mission. And the mission is actually a lot easier to come up with, because all you have to do is answer this one prompt, okay? And you can write this down if you want to. What are you on a mission to rid the world of? I specifically like this prompt because you cannot be contrarian and answer this thing. You cannot not be contrarian because something bothers you about the world and you want to change it. It could be a small problem or it could be a big problem. There's two examples I want to share with you. Number one is we're in business to save our home planet. That's Patagonia's mission. And I think they came up with that a couple years ago, and I thought it was so brilliant because it became very clear. And the very next thing they did, they said, we're donating the company to saving the planet. I love that. So now once you know your mission, your tone of voice, it guides the actions in which you take. This is why it's so important. So your tone of voice and your mission is your compass, your North Star. It's going to always point you in the right direction, especially when your team grows, even if it's only a handful of people, and they're trying to help you. The clearer you are with your voice and your mission, the more likely it is they're able to help you and to be able to shoot out a newsletter and to write a post on your behalf or to scrape your content and say, this is what we're listening for. And consequently, you also know when you're off your voice and off your mission. The other one is the one that got Oatly into a lot of trouble is their line, like milk, but for people, which got them sued by the Dairy Association. And they picked a fight. So what are you on a mission to rid the world of? Number 3, storytelling. This one is a lot harder to unpack because we're supposed to be very good at storytelling. And I believe as children, you're very good. But as you grow up and you start to learn to write and you learn the rules of literature and grammar, you start to write more like in your head voice. It sounds very academic, very professorial. It doesn't sound like you're talking to me. And that's a problem. Because most of the times I don't want to read something or listen to someone who just feels like they're just lecturing or talking over me. I don't like that. So a couple of things you need to know. What are the stakes in your story? What's at stake if you fail or if you succeed? How did you change? What was the transformation that you experienced in your story? What was the conflict? Robert McKee writes about this. No conflict, no story. Stories need conflict. Something is opposing you. An internal belief, like literally a person or the environment, the weather, something's against you and it's preventing you from doing what you want. You should also, if possible, include sensory details. So our 5 senses include some of the other senses in your writing, in your storytelling. If possible, have it rich with dialogue, okay? Now, should you join Content Lab, I've actually prepared a resource, my guide on how to tell better stories. You could just read that. It's a really short thing to help you keep yourself on point. Whether you're giving a keynote presentation or just doing a quick LinkedIn post, understanding story structure and what makes for a compelling story, not a formula, but story structure, will actually help you tell better stories. Kindra Hall, I think, has one of the best ways of explaining story structure, taking Joseph Campbell's hero's journey and breaking down to basically 4 words: normal, explosion, new normal. So there's the way things are. Something interrupts all that stuff. There's a call to adventure. A herald comes in. You get laid off. You get married. We're having an unexpected baby. A parent passes away. That's the explosion. That's what changes the normal, because everything goes at normal. There's an explosion. And then once you figure it out, you adjust to the new normal. You've transformed. You've changed. And that's what you write about. That's how you tell stories, okay? It doesn't have to be giant. It could be a small change, but that's what you're looking for in your stories. Next thing is something I refer to as phraseology, how you phrase things. These are ownable expressions that then people link with you. So instead of you quoting people, people are quoting you now. And in the world of TED Talks, it's called a catchphrase, to have catchphrase. Lots of people write about this. The very best TED Talks, they don't just have one catchphrase, they have multiple catchphrases. I'll give you a few from Simon Sinek. Start with why. Leaders eat last. We trust people who believe what we believe. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do. And Sir Ken Robinson has one that I love. We don't grow into creativity, we grow out of it. And even TED itself has a nice catchphrase, which is ideas worth sharing. So typically there are 3 to 7 words. Of course, you can go a little higher, you can go a little less. Just do it is a phrase. Impossible is nothing is a great phrase. More doing, great phrase. See, because it sums up an idea, a philosophy.
So a lot of the idea behind Content Lab and what I want to help you with is to become a better writer. I know this is really weird because the last thing I ever thought I wanted to do was to write, but it turns out, and as you already know, words do matter. Words create worlds. And so if you choose the right words, you can frame things for people and show them something that they never thought that way before. Okay. Number 5 is the format. Brendan Kane made me aware of this. He was able to grow 1 million followers in a month on multiple platforms. It's kind of incredible, right? And so oftentimes we think we don't have anything to say. No one's interested in this because the results don't seem to bear the fruit, right? And sometimes it's the right message, the right person, just the wrong format. And this is you, your Goldilocks or Cinderella. You're looking for the perfect slipper, the perfect bowl of porridge. And so you need to find one that suits your style, your comfort, your strengths. And it's not always that easy. So some of the formats are made on the street. We've seen this, like, excuse me, how much you pay for rent here? Or, hey, can I ask you what you do for a living? How can you afford a car like that? Or more recently with yours truly, I just walk up to people and ask them, how much do you charge an hour? It's a simple prompt to get people talking. That's called Man on the Street. That's ideally suited for people who like to have conversation, who can think on their feet and have a warm personality. Like they're excitable. And that's kind of important because if you're like dead, no one's going to watch that. You could do ASMR videos, which relies heavily on sound and creating a soundscape. You could be a visual stylist. Like a lot of the food videos now have elevated the art form of cooking to like performance art. And I like that a lot, okay? There's one called One Light, Two Chairs, which is you play both roles. You're like changing costume and character and you're talking to another person, but the other person is just you, okay? And that works really well. Erica Kohlberg quite famously made that whole thing, like I'm a lawyer who reads the fine print so you don't have to, so she plays both roles. All of those things are low budget, low lifts, and it's really about tapping into who you are in a format that works for you. So you don't need to do what everyone else is doing, especially because that's going to make you forgettable. And lastly, we talk about packaging, and now we get into the visual part, the aesthetics, and how you signal to other people your beliefs, your values, your preferences. It's a short form for people to make assumptions about you. I'll give you an example. If you wear your pants really low on your hips for guys, you know how skateboarders do that and certain hip hop people assume something about you. If you're wearing a necklace that's all blinged out with diamonds and everything, they assume certain things. Also, if you're in a three-piece suit, they assume certain things about you. But packaging extends beyond the clothes you wear. It's about the small, kind of sometimes unintentional choices you make in terms of typefaces. Typefaces of personality, colors, textures, patterns, and the way you lay things out. There's people who look at my slides at talks that I do, and they'll say, "You must be a designer." I'm like, "I'm glad you recognize that," just because of the aesthetic of the slides. Or they'll come up to me on the street and say, "Are you in fashion? I love the outfit that you got going on." So this is why we should not underestimate the power of good design, intentional design. Okay. Carrie and Andres, has Neil entered the building? Because this is the part where I'm going to talk about some people really quickly. No? Okay, that's fine. So I got 3 stories to share with you, okay? And I want to share a little disclaimer. The 3 stories I'm sharing with you are not from people working within Content Lab. I believe in radical transparency here, okay? These are people I'm working with private, one-on-one, somewhere between $50,000 to $100,000 in terms of engagement, okay? The first up is a guy named Neil Jingra. Some of you are from the Ford community, know him, he's your leader, he's a friend of mine. Didn't start out that way, but we've grown to be good friends. We talk quite often, actually. And he's in the mortgage space, and he puts on an event called the Ford. I think it's just called Ford. Runs a coaching community, a mastermind, okay? And what I was able to help Neil do was to rebrand Ford, to help him create a memorable tagline, to do copywriting for sales pages on his website, and to give him an identity I think he can be proud of. I'm a bit of a snob, I think I mentioned that. And I always feel like, man, if your logo isn't making that shirt or the book bag more valuable, then it's not a good logo. It needs to be something people want to wear and share with others. So I've helped him make merchandise, display graphics, to help him with his storytelling, working with him on his phraseology,
and to give him guidance whenever he needs it for a workshop or webinar that he's doing. I'm not there to help him sell more stuff. He's way better at that than I am. But in terms of like, hey, Chris, I want to teach this thing. What do you think about this? Or should I start with this or end with that? And here are a couple like really quick examples from the design work that we've done for him. Not all of the stuff was produced, but just to show you how through a specific lens, the design, the aesthetics, the packaging communicate value so that you don't have to say it. And that's the whole point of branding. It's telling your story. It's introducing you before you walk into the room. And so we thought about this line, dangerously inspired. And I wrote that for him. And the reason why I did this was because until you work with someone, you don't know their appetite for doing uncomfortable design. So when we locked into dangerously inspired, I knew I always had a weapon in my back pocket. If Neil ever wanted to go conservative on me, I'm like, Neil, how are we living to dangerously inspired? This is not dangerously inspired, my friend. Luckily for me, I never had to use that argument because Neil is a great client to have because he loves to play. He wants to live on the edge and he wants to push it. And so these were some of the initial screens that we designed for the main show. Okay, and that's Neil, and that's why I've worked with him. Uma is somebody that I've worked with. She's based out of Singapore. She's the founder, feminist speaker. Hopefully, speaking a lot on stages near you. Speaking in South by Southwest really soon. I think down under. And for Uma, I help her with mentorship. I'm giving her behind the scenes access to how I do everything, helping her with a visual identity, her deck, and helping her to really lean in on this phrase that she has called career quake. And I think it's a really great visual idea. That's a metaphor. And it's something that's quite ownable. So she's working really hard so that whenever you think about career quake, basically everything goes normal in your life, your business, your career, something happens. Now what? She's going through that and talking about that, helping people navigate those waters. Uma was very generous to write a little testimonial for me. And I don't have to read the whole thing. She says something that Chris helps you to see the ultimate version of yourself, accelerated her 10-year plan, and it's like hitting the fast forward button. Repeatable, that's easy, that can be replicated, that you can own. Called a PROSE framework, and it's an acronym for something I've never shared with you.
What's that?
Helping him to design and launch a new immersive retreat for social media influencers.
It's confiscated what?
To help him level up his visual
There's two of them.
So tune in a couple
but
of
I
months
haven't
when
found
it's
the
done, and I'll share with you
training
what it's
or
done.
in the
Okay.
conference room.
I think it was like
You
six.
pleaded
three
for that.
portions.
Yeah, I didn't go grab it. Somebody brought it up here because I was wanting it. I was wanting. Yeah.
Oh, so somebody else moved it up here for you, because I didn't.
You told me because I told you, hey, I know there was one's out here. The other one was over here. I couldn't find it, and you were like, oh, that's the last I knew. And then one day I came in, you were like, hey, it's in there. I put it. So somehow it got in here, but I'm very grateful for it. Anyway, I need you. Just so you can see where we're at with it. It's been an hour and a half. Yeah, I can't. I'm all over the place. And I meant to bring this up in yesterday's review, but I didn't have time. I already had a powwow with Jake about it. So this big transition is great, and I don't want you to think I'm dumping things on you and you're paying me to manage all this. But just like objectives and matters, right? How we deal with matters matter. So if we can, internally here, when we have the service desk number and we say IT support, if it's a matter, we qualify it as a matter. And we have Jake here, we have Nick here, people that are able to help with matters. I don't want to add to their workload, but if they can help, how do you see that, if at all, being a thing? I don't want us to be IT either. But if it's as simple as like right now, eManage, Sam and these guys need something. So when that goes to the service desk, because I don't want them to know,
If it's eManage, I have instructed them to reach out to eManage.
correct.
Yeah, and what I've said is, I'm not reaching out to eManage. You're reaching, not you.
the user
Whoever's-
themselves.
yes, because they're going to reply to you and they're going to deal on your machine, not me.
And-
I'm not the gatekeeper of that shit.
Correct. And our service desk should be here to support if there's issues there and that user needs some more support.
right.
Our service desk will be there to support that user on the technical side of
So
things.
Ben's issues went to the service desk. They went to you.
Correct.
And you put a ticket
Are you
in
talking, well,
with,
I know where you're going with all that, but I want to stay focused
Yep.
on,
I thought that's what you were talking
well, what I'm talking about is tier 1 matters that we can deal with here.
about. Give me an example of what we're not dealing with.
This right here. There's an e-manage issue. This is ready to go to him. He could have already done the Teams calls
That's
with
not an
e-manage.
us thing.
And we are doing everything we can with e-manage. Right now, we needed somebody to manage this matter here on this computer. Jake's really busy. Ben's busy. Who
That's
could we?
somebody here.
It's actually somebody with
We haven't
e-manage.
given it to anybody yet, so
I can-
technically it's not deployed to somebody.
If I have a technician drive here, it's going to cost some money to work
do
on this.
what?
To work on this.
To fix eManage?
Correct. To play that person between eManage and the machine.
But how am I a technical person? to
It's
deal
not.
with eManage?
Right now, we need somebody here that can do what I'm doing right now. I got to go. I have a meeting. I already told them I got to leave by 1:30. I told them I'd leave by 1:30. But I got to leave soon, and I would rather keep this going and have somebody else monitoring this. That way, when they do get back to us, like, yeah, well, this person took over because I had to leave. Who can we have work with eManage to get this resolved?
So are they getting on this machine? Is that what they're doing?
I don't know what they need to do.
I guess that's my only concern is if they say, how do I get on the machine? I don't know anything about this.
Their service desk should be able to walk any user, like even the most
Log in?
simplest.
Do I need to log in?
Ben, it's Ben's computer. Well, I already know his password because I've been working with him on it. He just gave it to me. It's like he has shit to do, I guess. So, which I get completely. Oh, welcome at 1531. No, what am I doing? It's his password. Welcome at 70. Did you change it again? I guess he's welcome at 7-1 now. Did you get asked to change your password recently?
This week?
Everybody did, didn't they?
I don't know.
I went to, because when he told me he had to reset his password, do you still do that on a regular basis? Where I went in, I told it to tell everybody, nobody's passwords expired. It took me 45 minutes to even get your computers to where I can have you log in now, because I got kicked out as a user where I had to change my password. Like, I got to change my password? Never had to change. Like, so when I did that, something on the back end made all of us change our password. I'm hoping that's not going to happen every 90 days now. So I got to look into that shit. Did that just go to sleep on me? Or did it say it was the wrong password? What did that do? Anyway, before I go, that's where Ben's computer is right now, just so you know.
So we're just waiting for a response?
We're waiting for eManage to. Today's the first time I've actually had a chance to reach out to them. So I reached out to them this morning when I got here around 9:15, 9:30, somewhere time around there. And I'm just trying to. They asked me for some information, so I sent it to them, and that was only 40 minutes waiting for that first response. But it's been over this amount of time, so then I just sent them another. Wait a minute. Yeah, I just sent them this message right here.
That's incorrect too.
Your request status has changed to waiting for customer. Okay, so wait a minute. Let me refresh this. Looks like they just updated it at 11:07. The key is correct, but please use version. Please. Change
That's the
you.
wrong password.
Other user. Click other user. Because this login is admin. You got to type in your name, Scott. This is the first time you've ever logged into this
Scott,
computer. Yep.
Scott.
Hit your caps button because. You just changed it, remember?
I know.
That's not how it worked. All right. Let me see what they're saying here. I have an update. Yeah. So I got to get with him and figure out. But here's what they're saying. You remember Sam's computer? I installed 10041, which is the what I have been installing, and Jake he did it the last time. That's why I was like, we need to do like I need to be able to rely on say, hey, you need to call e-manager to get this fixed. I would like to be able to do that, walk away, and not them go like, well, that's not my job. I'm not IT. So that's the conversation I want to have with you. We don't need to have it right. I think about it, digest it, but we need to have that conversation because if we can be I'm trying to keep our costs down as much as possible. I just if we're okay paying for extra support, I'm happy to figure that out.
What's included, what's not included.
Absolutely, and I'm trying to keep our budget as low as possible. So appreciate it. Hey, boss. I'm just running a few minutes behind here. I should be leaving here in the next 10 minutes, maybe 15.
There, no worries.
Awesome. Yeah, if you're not in a rush, if I can finish what I'm doing now without stress, that'd be great. So if I am like another 30 minutes before I leave, is that okay?
Yeah, you're fine, man.
Awesome. I appreciate it. We'll talk here in a few.
Okay.
All right.
All right, bye.
Bye.
I'll refund your money. I'm not trying to.
Mother, these guys.
Is this right for you? Okay. It's for people who are tired of sounding like everyone else. And you know that. You already know that. I think some of you are here because you already know that. It's for experts, basically people who have done the work to develop a skill and are good at that and have something unique to say. And I'll help you find that unique thing, even if you don't believe you are very unique. I've done this many, many times, especially if you hung out with me at any one of the forward events. You're like, Chris, I can't do this. I don't know what to do here. We'll talk. And then later on, you walk away with some clarity and some direction. So it's for people who want to build authority through authenticity and are good with volume, but intentional volume. Okay? So you got to be already producing content. I think you have prioritized this to at least spend somewhere between 10 to 15% of your time to writing and producing content on a weekly basis. I don't love batch production where people will record a month's worth of content. It's like at this point, you're just trying to optimize and be efficient, but innovation and efficiency are at the opposite ends of the spectrum. You cannot be innovative and be efficient. They're working at polar ends of each other. Now, as much as I was saying you have these young people helping you, they're still necessary. We need people to help you do all the executional parts because I don't think it's a good use of your time to edit the videos yourself or to create the graphics. You just need to know what it is that you want, and I'll help you figure that part out. And if necessary, talk to your team. They can have access to the call, or you can show them the recording. And you have an ongoing need, meaning you make content, you speak, you are doing presentations, you're writing often, something that's requiring you to have the need for this, not just one and done kind of thing. And the last thing is you have means to make money outside of content creation, because I'm not here to turn personal branding into personal marketing. I think it will help you. It's a force multiplier. I believe in that. But if you do it the way in which I do it, I don't want you to use this stuff for marketing purposes. So if you're like, hey, help me make more sales, I don't use the program for you. As I said recently with my conversation with Matt Essam, I believe performance marketing repels, genuine, authentic branding compels. You choose. You want to repel or you want to compel? Okay? And look, I love this phrase. It's called with or without you energy. I first heard it from Daniel Priestley. He says in sales, you should adopt this with or without you energy, which is I'm good with you, I'm good without you. So I'm not going to tell you this offer expires at midnight. It doesn't. I'm not going to limit it to the first 10 people who respond. If this resonates with you and you want to work together, there's a QR code right there. You know, I love people who take action. Conversely, if you want to reach out, you can drop a comment, you can talk to me, you can talk to Carrie, but if you're ready to go, we're ready to start. We start next week, okay? And if it doesn't, that's perfectly fine too, okay? The only real constraint is my time, because I'm the one who's giving you the feedback. So I can only do this to a certain point, and I understand that once the group gets too big, it's gonna affect how people feel in their experience, because we can only deal with 9 people every single call. I'm not telling you this to manufacture false scarcity. That's just the reality. So when it gets too big and unwieldy, and I believe the experience is compromised, that'll be the maximum.
Hey,
I don't know
Chris,
what the
can you
number is.
put the QR code up again?
I'll have more opportunity to put up the QR code. It'll be right here.
Okay,
So,
cool.
perfect. Thank you. So I want to spend the rest of our time answering any of your questions. I'm going to be here. If you have questions about the process, the program, whether it's right for you, or if I open an idea that's intriguing to me, I want to know more, I'm happy to talk about that. Okay. Now, there's this quote or this line from Archimedes, which is, "Give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it, and I shall move the world." I love this. So if you can look at the lever as your content, and you're authentic, the triangle part, the authentic version of you is the fulcrum, you can move the world. And that's what we're trying to do. Okay, everybody? So thank you very much. And I just want to say this one last thing before I get out of here. Whether you work with me or not, I want you to remember this. Your voice matters. Your perspective matters. It's unique. Your experience has tremendous value. So don't let anyone, including myself or any well-meaning quote-unquote experts, dilute that or tell you different, period. The world needs more of you, not less. And I just want to finally say this final thing. I love AI, but AI is not the answer. AI amplifies. What is it amplifying? Okay, we'll get out of this right now and I'll jump into Q&A. And I have a whiteboard, so we'll do that. Okay, so let me stop the share. Stop share. Okay. Let me escape out of this. Okay. All right. Andres and Carrie, what are we going to do now?
We have a few Q&A questions.
Okay.
Yes, so Nathan asked, if our point of view is not originally ours, but a mashup of adopted from other thought leaders, can we still be artists with our point of view?
Okay, this is very good. I think there's Nathan from Vancouver, I believe, hopefully. If it is, hello. We are the sum of our influences and experiences. And so you notice during this presentation, I'm using quotes, lines, ideas that were borrowed from other people. Some of them are original ideas, but original, put an asterisk next to that. I don't know what original is anymore. What you're trying to do is you're curating lots of things and you're figuring out what versions of those things resonate with you the most. Where you get into trouble on this is you just pull from one source, and one source that's very close to your source. For example, if you're an architect and you're really inspired by John Pawson, who's like a minimalist, I think he's a British architect, and you're just drawing from him and doing work like him and talking like him and presenting like him, and then you just become a poor copycat. And clearly I'm not advocating for that. But if you pull from the world of hip hop and you find a way to influence or merge that with some of John Pawson's thinking about minimalism, and you bring in the third element, maybe it's your specific upbringing, maybe you're like, I'm not saying this is what's happening with Nathan here, but maybe you're raised by a single parent and you find and triangulate those things and you find that overlap between all of them, that's your voice, okay? And if you pay careful attention to Gary Vaynerchuk, if you pay careful attention to some of the authors, Brian Tracy, I'm spacing on their names right now, they all draw inspiration from Jim Rohn, the OG, the GOAT. Tony Robbins did the same thing. And so what we want to do is we want to take from people that came before us and add to it. It's how we build up on their knowledge. And I think that's something that's valuable. That's something worth pursuing. And I'll show you little tricks later on if we wind up working together. How do I make this sound more like me? We can do that. Okay, is that okay? What does ICP mean? I hope it's not bad. Carrie or Andres?
All right.
Next?
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. That's another good question. So someone asked, since LinkedIn is getting noisy, should they pivot to YouTube?
That's an interesting question. They believe YouTube is less noisy than LinkedIn. I'm not sure about that. I think there's 1 billion hours of content being
Yes, ma'am.
consumed on YouTube per day. I was just
Well, this webinar, I need to get going. I'm waiting on.
I think in
There's a
terms
couple
of
things going on.
content,
What you got going on?
LinkedIn is a sliver of that.
I've
So if you
shut
want to
it
go to the
down.
least
It's not,
contested place
it
right
hasn't
now, I have to
rebooted
tell you,
since
it's probably going to
Wednesday.
be LinkedIn.
And I feel like this
Having
was in
said that, though,
conjunction when the system went
I'm
down.
not personally
because when
very
it
good at
populated,
doing
it made me
short
change
form
my.
content.
See right here.
Something called viral content.
It can't do the.
I'm much more of a fan of long form.
It keeps telling me to do
I
the
don't like
password.
long
It
form.
made me change the password when the power came back
But
on.
surprisingly, our 1 hour or 2 hour workshops and videos on YouTube outperform our short form content. It's like, what? How does that make sense? So I can only share with you what's worked for me. I like doing long form stuff. So if you like producing long form, I'm your guy. I can help you do long form content. I have a lot of experience doing them. And then some of the videos that start to work, you can then say to your team now, scrape the video that we just produced and find the short form, the digestible, snackable nuggets, and then turn that into a post. Write that for me in my voice, and let's review it together to make sure it captures the sentiment of what I'm saying. Right? I've worked with writers before who've scraped my content.
It's probably like,
Some
oh
of them
shit.
write in my voice.
Oh,
so
I
well
never
that
did
it
that
confuses
part.
people, like,
The refresh?
I'm like,
Yeah,
no.
that's you just push
You
it
read that
down.
again.
When you
I
pull
like
down
that.
let go,
I'm like,
you'll
questioning
it'll start
what I'm
refreshing.
doing.
You can do that on web
And
pages.
then some
It
writers
works on
write in their
everything.
voice. No, it's not gonna work. You're talking like a young person.
Well,
not young at all.
it also wouldn't if you. I did refresh it before we did the settings thing, so even then I still had to do that. I don't know if because Joe said the same thing. Like I do this 1,000 times, it keeps coming up.
Is this the same? Does it matter?
Like I checked that
All I've done is
box
just write it
before I
in
typed in the numbers. That way I could make sure that it doesn't do it again for another 30 days. It's going to because
I
when
like
you're not
it.
here, like there's thousands of things trying to get in constantly. Bots, everything's trying to get in. So when you're not here, that's why that does that. So thanks.
I would stay on LinkedIn. If I did that, YouTube would stay on. Or you can go the opposite direction. Okay. Did Neil ever show up?
Don't see him.
No. Mm-hmm.
But before we move on to the next question, I would love to welcome some of the new Content Lab members. We have Mark and Carrie and Brendan. If I butcher names, I'm sorry. And also Mike. And there keep coming in. Welcome guys to Content Lab. We start next week. Excited.
Wait, before you say
Okay.
the next thing. Wait, before you say the next thing, I should pour Hormozy here. You know, the reason why everyone follows that perfect webinar thing is because it works. And if you are not a big fan of that, if that makes you feel creepy, gives you like the cringe vibe, well, a different format has to work. Otherwise, that's all people will do. And so we're doing this as a living experiment. Can we be authentic? Can we be transparent? Can we not try to pull the psychological triggers? Because apparently that's what I need to do. And I'm doing everything in my body to resist this, but eventually I'm not a fool. I don't like hitting myself my head on the wall and seeing it bleed and saying like, gosh, it's not working. Eventually, if I can't figure out another way, then I'll have to succumb to that. So, you know, if you've seen the content we do and you kind of like the style and tone of what I do, and you're like, hey, I need help moving in that direction, less in the other direction, consider it. That's all I can say. All right, Carrie, keep going.
Yeah. Okay. We have a couple questions that are the same. Is there going to be live sessions for Content Lab? Can you go over how the sessions are going to work with the hot seats and that they will be live?
Yes. So Andres, our community manager, is here. He manages the program for me, and he'll also be managing Content Lab. There will be a queue. You'll have a time slot. You must show up in your time slot, or you'll lose your time slot. And you can show up just for that and leave. I don't recommend that. But if you show up, basically, we'll start at whatever time they're scheduling it, and we'll just jump right into it. It is live on Zoom. We'll be doing it, and it'll be recorded so you can watch it later. I think for now we'll record it. Maybe in the future we won't record it for privacy reasons. And then you'll have your time slot. You'll have your 10 minutes. And if you bring in something that you need help with, I will help you. I'll do everything I can to help you. And if you've been to one of my workshops, if you've been to one of my whiteboard sessions, it's not going to be any different than that, except for I'm just going to be focusing on you. Okay? So we'll cycle through people. So if 50 people join, it's going to take us a few sessions to get through the 50 people. But, you know, I suspect not all 50 people who join will be ready on day one to have their work looked at. Okay, so if you already create content, this is a perfect thing. Like, hey, I want to get better at communication. I want to figure out what my tone of voice is. And there will be assignments for you to work on the side on top of the things that the feedback I'm gonna give you. But I don't want to overcomplicate this. Basically, consider joining this if you want high level art direction and feedback on the content you're already creating because you want to find your voice. You want to do something that rings true to you. Okay. Did I answer that question, or do we need to do more? And it's
No, I think that's good.
Perfect.
Yep. And the 52 writing prompts, when you join, you'll get the first one. So if you join, say, next Wednesday, you'll still get that first writing prompt. You're not behind. That was a question that had been asked. Let's see, what else? Let's ask this is a content question. What's the limit of sharing our experiences without making like you're trauma dumping on people?
That has a lot to do with intentionality. It's a really good question, by the way. If you're feeling sad for yourself and you want people to feel sad for you, that's what usually happens. If there's some unresolved issues and you just dump it on people. I always feel like we're always like 80% more conservative with sharing information. And we're waiting for someone to ask us the question. The good thing about the 52 writing prompts is I'm going to ask you the question, so I've given you permission to write an answer about this. And so I hope that you'll take that in the spirit in which it was written, or the prompt. And they're very open-ended prompts, but it's clear, like, write about this thing. I'm going to ask you a question or ask you to tell me a story about X, and just write about that and see what happens. So I'm going to guide you through the process a little bit here. And so even if you don't know what to share about yourself, the prompts will take care of that.
Okay, let's see. How do you always have good content ideas so you can keep creating?
Okay, there's something called the virtuous cycle and the vicious cycle. The vicious cycle is when something negative happens, it wires your brain to say this doesn't work, so then therefore you don't take action, and then bad things happen. It just goes down and down, right? The example would be in a relationship. So if you and your partner are not happy with each other and no one wants to talk, well, it creates this tension that creates a space where no one wants to talk to each other, and the feeling of resentment keeps growing and growing until it blows up. And so I've been to couples therapy, I've been to family therapy, and the thing they said is, well, who's going to be the bigger person? Okay, so the virtuous cycle is when you put out a piece of content and you kind of let go of the need to control, you're kind of doing it unplugged, and then you're going to see two things happen. Actually, three things will happen. People in the middle, which we don't know what to do with, they like it and like, good job, happy about this. The people are really stirred and moved by it, like you stir your spirit, it's moving them, and then you get energized by that. And the thing that people don't want are the negative comments. But I find that the negative comments are more inspirational to me in terms of writing more content. Because in the negative comment, they have a problem with something that you wrote or something that you said or something. And it's an opportunity for you to do it again, but do it better. So they're giving you an excuse to take another stab at it. Versus like, oh, I already said what I needed to say, I can't say it again. So I'm in that virtuous loop because every time I write a post, I put out a video, somebody somewhere is either really happy or not happy, and that gives me more ideas to do. And what's great about this, it keeps you in the lane in which you want to be known for. So when you explain a reverse mortgage or how you can swap properties or whatever it is that you guys talk about, and somebody's inevitably going to have a question like, that doesn't work, that's stupid, not in this market. Then you do a little research and you figure out, if I said it this way or I address that specific person, that piece of content will do better. I'll give you an example. I've said this thing before, never justify your prices. Just say it's policy. The minute you start to justify, you've lost the negotiation. And I've said it in a way like in the context of a workshop, and it's cut down to a short, and a lot of people got really upset at me, like, this douchebag doesn't want to sell anything to anybody. Why would I buy from you? Never buy from this idiot, right? And so that's a pretty negative comment. So I was able to use that comment and say, okay, I get comments like this all the time. And in a way, it's fair because they're only seeing the sliver
allow me now to expand on this. And now I use that one negative comment to talk about something in much greater detail and depth for 10, 15 minutes. And that video has performed really well because the one hater person is voicing what a lot of people are probably thinking but don't say because they're too polite or they don't have the time or they don't want to be bothered. But now you've addressed those things. So I always look at these objections as an opportunity to write better content. That's my take on that.
Okay, this is a fun one. Ready? Hold on, let me scroll, let me find it. Okay, Vincent asks, I have a hard time picking a uniform or wardrobe style for myself. Is there some material out there that can help figure out my own style apart from just going with your own senses?
Yeah.
Content.
Okay. This is a very good question. Now you're just touching on things I love to talk about, which is fashion and personal style. I've gone through an evolution myself. I'm helping a couple other people. What I want to do is like, if you join, I promise you, I will take care of this. I wasn't planning on doing a whole style fashion thing, but I will do it. Because I know some people don't like that. They're like, why aren't you talking about fashion? Like, it's packaging, man. Everything is packaging. So if you don't want to package yourself, that's your thing. And I will help you do this. The living experiment is Rodrigo Tasca. He's been traveling with me, and he's sometimes resistant, but he's more open these days than he used to be. He's willing to try things and do things. And when he dresses appropriately, he gets a totally different reaction from people. And I've always told him this. When we travel together, and we travel a lot, I don't want people to mistake you as a roadie, as a helping hand. I want them to see you as a band member. So not a hand, part of the band. Okay? And that's what we're doing now. They're like, oh, these guys, they have a vibe. So we were in Louis Vuitton in New York, and in Midtown, I believe. And the lady said, oh, you guys from LA? I'm like, why do you say that? Because you guys got that LA vibe. And I think Drigo felt like seen, versus like, watch security, keep an eye on these two, right? And people treat you differently when you show up. Because it's just, for some people, it's how they understand that you respect them and what they're doing. It's like why you don't want to wear overalls to a wedding and why you don't want to wear a tuxedo to the farm. These are tools. We'll teach you how to use those tools, okay? All right.
All right, Chris. Let's see.
Yes. By the way, if you want to go shopping with me, come with me to Japan. It's happening in December.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Am I? Okay. Another question from Vincent. It was right underneath. It's off topic, but the little leather baggie that you wear regularly around your neck,
Yes.
is it just a wallet, or is it like a secret loud introvert?
Yes. So I believe this is technically just a lanyard, okay? And this is from Saint Laurent. And this is funny because when we were shopping at Saint Laurent, it was at an outlet here in Palm Springs. I told Drigo, get this because it has a really nice chain. And the chain is a different length than my other chains. But it's very utilitarian because inside of it, I can pull it out here. It's a secret key holder. I'll show it to you in a second here. See this right here? So you can put a key in case you get locked out of the apartment, the house, whatever, or your car. You can just put it in there. And I didn't know that. Such a smart design. And then there's this little slot here. Now, when I told Drigo to buy it, he's like, no, I'm stupid. I don't like that. I don't know what to say. And then he travels with me. He's like, dude, I understand why you have that thing now. Because when I check into a hotel, I put my key card here, and I'm never locked out of my room. And in a lot of places where you need to swipe, you don't need to pull out your pocket, because there's always the fumble in the elevator. You just swipe it right there. It goes right through this thing. So when I travel really lightly, especially if I wear slacks and I don't want to show the wallet bulge, I just put my driver's license and my credit card here. I'm good to go. So that's what that is. It's just a lanyard, everybody. Let's not call it a neck wallet. That sounds way more than what it is.
All right, let's see. Try and find another content lab question.
Okay.
Well, this is another. Will there be new cohorts? Can you talk about how you can join at any time, and the 52 weeks starts when you join. It's not like open close cohort.
This is not an open close cohort. We're not all as asynchronous, right? So we'll start
officially, I think there's a call scheduled for next week. We're gonna go into it. We're gonna talk about your work. So initially, I imagine there's not a lot of people in this group, so I'll just give more time to you, and we'll take the conversation wherever you want. As it grows, whenever you join, that's your first week, and you're gonna hop in. You're gonna do your first writing prompt every week. The writing prompt opens. So some people will be like writing prompt 14. You could be at about 3. It doesn't really matter. And then you start to do conversation.